Hi everyone. So I want to today just speak a little bit about the twin flame journey and why the divine feminine gets disheartened on this journey. And this is especially in response to a few comments, which were specific to I think the comments expressed a lot of dissatisfaction with the journey and why the divine masculine will show up only when things are good. When you don't really need them is when they come. And this is opposed to, a good practice. Like we only call a person a good friend when they show up for us when we are sad. And they aren't necessarily a good friend when they don't show up for us, when we need them. So in this context, there was a comment, and I just felt that it is going to be useful to speak about it for everyone, because sometimes the unfairness of the journey, is what the divine feminine can think about and can get very bogged down by. So, first of all, a very important thing that you should know is your divine masculine is you. Okay. And as triggering as this podcast can be, just hold on and listen to the whole thing. I will try to speak of the things that come to me, and hopefully, you will have a shift in the way you are thinking and maybe will feel better. So, the point is that when you are expecting your divine counterpart to show up for you physically, emotionally, mentally, in all ways possible, and they are not doing that, that is always reflective of you not showing up for yourself. And this is so true and correct. I'm not saying this because I've heard it. I have experienced this myself in my own journey, where when I was in the beginning of my journey not showing up at all for myself, I was unaware of my emotional depth. I was unaware of how I feel in situations and completely oblivious to, what I really needed in my trying situations. I just needed my own compassion, and I needed my own love, and I needed my own support. I needed my boundaries. I needed to respect myself. I was not, seeing this in my twin flame journey on the outside as well. And it used to frustrate me as well, especially in the beginning of the journey when I had not even heard the term twin flames. And I did not know, what that basically means and everything. When I was also looking at my counterpart as a completely different human being and doing all of these things, or not doing things that I expect, that I had gotten to expect from other friendships and connections and other things, other relationships. It was very disheartening, and it felt like a sense of abandonment, and it felt like, this is wrong and this person is bad and all of that. But then the divine keeps pushing you to explore further, especially since you can't get over your twin flame. You start seeing signs and synchronicities and everything, and you start to be directed towards certain videos that tell you about what kind of a connection this is. So once you understand it's a twin flame connection, you go even deeper, and you can develop telepathy. Like, that is something that I always encourage, that you do some meditative practices. If you are not connected with your counterpart in the 5D, it is very, very important that you connect with your counterpart in the 5D, where you can have a telepathic communication with them. It doesn't mean you get addicted to that that kind of an interaction, but you know the truth of their feelings for you. So why do they do this? It is because I am not doing this for myself. When I have not deeply loved myself, I have not deeply respected myself, I have not gone into the core of that feeling, which is still operating in my life, and is still directing my core choices and the way I act and the way I behave with myself and with everyone. What does that lead to? It leads to my counterpart showing this to me. And this is why, it brings me to the second part, that the nature of the journey is, first of all, to look at your counterpart as your teacher. A teacher who will reflect everything to you that you are capable of healing, and who is helping you in this healing. Your counterpart by mirroring the wounds back to you, and your spirit guides, and your higher self, your soul itself is interested in shedding these layers of conditioning and these layers of pain, which are buried in the subconscious. That is why many divine feminines can experience a very profound dream state, especially if your third eye is um, activated to a certain extent. You can always learn a lot from your dreams, and you will understand how potent your dreams can be in terms of purging everything and taking you through profound experiences, so that you learn something about your subconscious. So looking at the nature of this journey is spiritual. What does that mean? It is one soul, it is not two souls. It's you in one body, them in another body, but it's the same soul. It's the one consciousness expressing in two bodies, because expressing in two major the two polarities, right? Where you are majorly in feminine and they are majorly in masculine. Okay, so just look at this journey as a spiritual journey. So when you expect others to show up for you, whether it is your counterpart or any other human being, it is not the it is not something that will sustain on the spiritual path. What do you mean by people showing up for you? Actually, really think about it. What do you really mean by it? I do not know that one should lay too much emphasis on people showing up or not showing up for you. People showing up for you sometimes can be doing that out of obligation. That is also very correct, right? Sometimes our family always shows up for us, because family is that kind of a structure, where most times you will see that there is a cohesiveness, and that family tends to support each other in many ways, financially, emotionally, socially, and structurally, physically, and everything. But other than that, if you really go into it, to have that expectation that somebody should show up for me when I'm down, they should give me that phone call when I am down, is basically giving your power away, and you are operating in the matrix still. I used to be like that as well. I used to really lay too much emphasis on who is showing up for me and who used to not show up for me. And I used to give somewhere, I used to think I need that support. The transformation that, I feel happened was when I realized I don't really need any other human being support in my life, because that leads to a lot of, giving up of my own control and thinking that other people have more control on me, or thinking I have too much control. This journey is something which you have to look at the spiritual truths for. In spiritual truth, you are not the doer of your life. Whatever support you need at whatever junction in your life, your higher self will give it to you. Trust me, it will come to you. If you really look back into your life, and you not seen support coming into your life, it is just wrong to think that the support will come from that one person. That is not the way life works. That is not the way even manifestation works. You need something, it is always given to you. If you are alive right now and you're doing well, in the sense that you have money, you have food to eat, you have basic things covered for you, you have some good things in your life. If you can shift your perspective, you will be grateful for even the clothes that you're wearing right now. If you have clean clothes to wear, there could be, it could be a possibility that you would not have. Being grateful for the smallest of things will make you see how you are incredibly supported always. So to think that I am not supported by my twin flame and that makes that person wrong, go deeper into it. They are teaching you about your own independence and about your connection with God, where God gives everything to you. You are not alone. You're not suffering. This suffering and everything is basically your conscious choice. Pain is not a conscious choice. One can, so for instance, get injured somewhere. Let's say a small injury can happen. Either one can fret, cry, and just cuss about like why did they get injured, or one choice is, and that is the choice of suffering. Or one can just accept it. Okay, it happened. Let me just just bring my bearing back to the now and just be like, okay, fine, this happened, it's all right, I accept it. What is it that I can do now? If it's a wound, let me just see if I can clean it and I can apply some band-aid or whatever, right? And then I move on with my life. That is also a choice you're making. So pain will happen in both instances. Physical pain is present in both instances, but suffering is a choice. This exactly is what your counterpart, the teacher, is teaching you. By not being there for you, you are understanding by their absence that you are enough. But if you want to replace their absence with some other human being, then this is either not a twin flame journey for you, because a twin flame journey really caps it. What do I mean by that is that before we are on the twin flame journey, we are in these dynamics where with one person, if we don't get support, then we turn to the second, then we turn to the third, then we turn to the fourth, right? We have multiple relationships, we have multiple friendships with the repeat patterns. But on a true twin flame journey, your patterns will fall off. Now you will start to understand that when, my counterpart didn't show up for me, it was time for me to show up for myself. And it is time for me to be very grateful for what I have. So I am really grateful for the friends I have. I'm grateful for the family I have. And I'm so happy that when my counterpart did not show up for me in the past or whenever, it showed me my own inner strength. And it also led me to gain my own power. I learned that I'm a powerful person. I don't need physical support by just for doing life. Why do you think you need all that emotional, physical, mental support? I don't understand it. Most times you don't need it. And why am I able to say that? Because spiritual strength is your biggest strength. If you are anchored in God within you, you will not need another human being in your life. And you will not need another human being's validation, physical support, or anything. God will send you that support in whatever way or form you need. If you need company, God will send you company. If you need love, God will send you love in some way. But don't expect it to show up in the way that you're expecting it to show up in. Don't expect it to show up from one particular person that you're running after. Allow it to come from other people. I'll share a very small instance. Uh, a long while back, I was a little sad, okay, and I remember this so profoundly. I was sitting and I was, wallowing in my sorrow, and I was thinking, I don't have any friends left because of, this journey, and I was undergoing at that time a loss of friendships, and I did not mind it. I allowed it because I could see the sense in what was happening and how it was literally clearing the clutter and clearing that accumulation that I thought I needed, that my ego had accumulated, but it was really disempowering me. And I've already made a podcast on this, that friendships can be so disempowering sometimes, especially that the friendships that we form in our unhealed states, many of them can be friendships which take our power away, where we think we need that other person, but we really don't. They actually take away from us than they contribute to our lives positively and in a nice, uplifting way. So simply speaking, when I was going through this and I was not really wallowing also, but I was a little sad, and I made this slight observation to myself that I don't have any friends left, and I'm just so lonely and alone, and or I'm just alone. And I don't have anybody to talk to, any friend that, I can even share anything with. And immediately, within I think the next minute or so or 2 minutes, my doorbell rang. Okay. So, where I used to stay at the time was, there used to be these migrant laborer colonies, because where my house was a newly constructed, area and everything. So it was, some parts of it were still under construction. Some parts of the colony, there were still new houses coming up. So the ones who are familiar with India will understand it, that in some shanties, there used to be these migrant laborers, who used to stay in, and their children also, they would bring their children also from poorer states in India. And these children were enrolled in local, schools here. So I had befriended some of these children. And so these children were like, they would just show up every week or like twice a week or something. They would just come to my house and they would have some snack and like some food, and we would talk about, their studies. And if I had time, I would help them, with their education and just teaching them something once in a while. They were otherwise, going to school, and they even had tuitions and stuff. So this little boy, was at the door, and he's like 7 years old, and he had just come, and he just said hello, And I as usual, invited him in, and we sat down, and I was about to eat my lunch, so I gave him some food, and he wanted to watch some cartoons, so I played him some cartoons on the TV, right? And I sat to just continue to doing my work. But simply speaking, just this much actually showed me I have a friend. What were the friends that I was expecting at that time? In that moment, I was thinking that the friendship has to come from the people that I have, in my category of friends. The 10 people that I call friends, who are my age or around my age, and we have this shared history and stuff like that. And those people have been now become dormant or completely extinct from my life for my own, spiritual evolution. My new energy is not aligning with their timelines, with their energy. So that's okay. But there I was for a minute thinking I'm alone, and God sends me this. You're not alone. Here, this is your friend. Can you accept a 7-year-old little child as your friend? And I would say, yes, why not? Why would I say no to that? Right? This exactly is how, God basically works. Really, God works in miraculous ways. It really happens. So whenever you think you need support, it will come to you. You think you need it from those people. Some friendships that we have in our lives, we keep them because we think we need those people. Be honest and tell me. Many connections that we build in our lives, especially in India, it's common, and I think in many traditional cultures it is common that we want to be friends with important people because we think, oh, one day I may need this important person in my life. One day when I am in trouble, I will need to call this socially important person who is in a high position to help me. Has that ever happened? Or do you think in that time of trouble, anyway, help came to you through other sources, but never from the source from where you were expecting help will come? Never from that important person that you knew help ever came, but it came from someone else. You know, this is the nature of life. Don't make decisions based on who somebody is. And don't expect anybody to show up for you and have expectations that life should only happen to me in this defined way. This is where suffering comes from. Your divine masculine is teaching you this by not showing up for you, by being your friend who's not there for you, at least in the 3D, because they want you to know this. How else will you learn this? Because somewhere along with the start of your twin flame journey, your other friendships also crumble, your other life situations where you have a sense of belonging, or a sense of not, I would not call it belonging, but a sense of attachment, a sense of entanglement, those situations start to go away for you. That is why it's a journey of spiritual awakening. So when your counterpart is not around, most likely you will have not many conventional people that you were relying on also around you. All right? Or new people can come in, or one or two people can stay and help you out. But whatever help you need is always given to you. So your counterpart here is teaching you that whatever you need from them is what you already have, is what is within your reach. You need love, you need support, you need respect, you need company. God will send it to you. Can you be open to receiving it? And this is what they are teaching you. Before your counterpart, also you were in codependent relationships. You also had expectations from soulmates and karmics, did you not? Be very honest. It's not the first abandonment that you have experienced with your twin flame. It's just a pattern that they are mirroring, a pattern which is present inside of you because of repeat abandonments of the past. And especially if you are experiencing something repetitively with your twin flame, whether it's abandonment, that they abandon you, or they don't respect you, or that they are not nice to you, or that there is betrayal, there can be anything that you are experiencing repeatedly with your counterpart. Look within at all the situations of your past where this has happened, where you have accepted the breadcrumbs, where you have accepted abandonment, and where you have felt abandoned, maybe as a child. Many, divine feminines can experience a fear of intimacy from their divine counterpart, where they don't want to go into deep with you because you've not gone into deep with yourself. You have a block to receive. Go back to your childhood and see where it was coming from. How did you feel about receiving love from your mother or your father? Did it come naturally? Or did you have to prove yourself first to receive any love? This is the simple semantics of the twin flame journey. It's nothing else, it's just mirroring. They are your subconscious self. So take lessons from what they are telling you rather than get offended and cry about it and feel bad about it for years, because that is possible. You can carry that narrative of my twin flame is a bad person or my twin flame betrayed me. For years and years you can live in this narrative. This is the whole, the journey is so interesting because it really makes you think time is an illusion, because you can spend inevitably long months and years with the same self concept and the same twin flame concept as well. So it is very important that you take action, and you don't take this action for any outcome. You're not trying to manipulate the universe, you're not trying to control the outcome of the situation, but you're just doing this because you want to have clearer energies within you. If I sit in a more healed way, where I have healed my fear of intimacy, where I have healed my abandonment wound, it shows up in my life in such beautiful ways. How? I have a deeper connection with just nature. Alright? Or I will just have better friendships. Or my relationship with my family will improve. That itself is very rewarding. And of course, it shows up in your twin flame journey as well. But I'm just trying to say that the intent of doing your inner work has to be your own liberation from your past patterns. And you don't have to heal everything under the sun. You just have to heal the major blocks to your wholeness, your completeness. Your soul will know. This is also another thing that you understand, that the last thing that I want to speak about, in fact, is that when we say that we don't have something, from our twin flame, or we are not feeling the things that we ought to feel from this connection or any connection or something like that, we also somewhere are in still, we are still very much operating in our mind and the ego. The ego is always focused on lack. It can be if it is trained to. And, life is not really looked at holistically for what it is. See, life is not a summation of good and bad things. The good and bad things are when we try to calculate and say this is good. Oh, yesterday was good, but today was bad. Right? This whole dichotomy that we divide, our life experiences into is exactly what you have to transcend. Because as a soul, you are just the observer of events. Whether they are good events or they are bad events, you have to come to a place of equanimity within you. Not call something too good, which is life changing for you. Not call something so bad that it is life altering for you in a bad way. You are not meant to experience life in these extremes, but just having an equanimity within you. Because these are outside events. To what extent are these outside events supposed to determine who you are, is what your spiritual journey is about. Where a point comes where the outside events can happen. There can be very bad events, objectively speaking. For someone else, there can be very bad events, right? From someone else's point of view. But for you, they can just be events that you're okay with. Again, from someone else's point of view, there can be very good events, because out on the outside those events can look like big successes or big achievements. But for you, they can just be the next step of life, or just another something that is happening in your life. Again, I urge all of you to read the poem If by Rudyard Kipling. It's a beautiful poem. I read it at school, and that captures, the idea of equanimity. Otherwise, in our own texts, in our traditional texts, equanimity is spoken of. I do not know about other religions, but in the Gita, it is spoken of that to have equanimity is very important. Be the observer of life, because you are the observer of life. Your soul is just going through the tumult of life, or the experience of life, and not to identify yourself with the highs and the lows is essential. So when you say, when I am low in life and my counterpart is not with me, somewhere you're still trapped in that egoic way of thinking. And if you can go beyond it, and you can go into that space of knowing who you really are, Are you really this person who is influenced, affected by these events of life? That is just your ego. If only in unawakened states can we be giving our power away so much, right? And when we speak here, when I speak on this channel, the assumption is that we are going through a spiritual awakening. That is why, if I was to start another channel for people not going through a spiritual awakening, but just focused on maybe uh, patterns, subconscious patterns, or parental, trauma, or something like that, or mental health, or whatever. If I was to speak of that, I will not speak in this context so clearly. But really give yourself some credit. You're going through a spiritual awakening. If you really have met your twin flame, you're going through an awakening where your anchor is within you. Your anchor is God. Your anchor is your soul. The more you meditate, the more you connect with God, the more you connect with divinity in whatever way or form that you connect with. That has to become your anchor. And automatically, when God is your anchor, the outside loses its control on you. It does not matter if something good happens. It does not matter you go to an Italian restaurant or you go to a Chinese restaurant. It matters not. 5 years ago, it would have been important for you to pick your restaurant. Now it's like, it's okay. If somebody wants to go somewhere, you're all right. Earlier, your will was supreme. You were the one, it was very important for you to do this and make everyone else do the same thing. Now, if somebody else wants to do something, you respect it and you laugh and you just go with it. You know, it's not self sacrifice. It's just a sense of being that you're okay with whatever is happening. You're not trying to control everything in life. You have space to do what you want to do. Of course, you do. You have space to create. You can't exist without action. So, you will continue to take your actions the way you feel guided to. But those actions will be very aligned with who you are. And those actions may not make sense to anybody around you, but they will be actions for you that you just know are the right actions for me. This is the purpose of the twin flame journey. It's to anchor you in the divine. It's not to, perpetuate any codependence that you've carried from your past lives, past relationships and friendships. This is why many soulmates and karmics will still probably, if you allow them, will show up more for you than your twin flame will. But then it will start to get very draining for you. Especially if a past karmic ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, you still rely on and you still rather invite them to help you out in some situation. You will start to see the toxicity of this person and the toxicity of the connection, rather, not the person. You'll start to see, that they may not even have been there for you very willingly. Okay? So the willingness of your twin flame to be with you and to help you depends on your willingness to help yourself. And this is very deep. This is not superficial overnight work. Listening to this is just a start for you to shift your perspective. But continue to dive deep, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper is what you have to do. All right, that is a very useful way that will shift a lot of things for you. And of course, if you should also try to read up some spiritual texts, understanding who you are as a person. You're not defined by the events. And if you still found this triggering, and you're not ready yet to undertake that spiritual journey, that transformation, which is, yes, going to be painful because it's going to mean losing behind your older self, losing behind your older way of being. Your patterns are no longer going to serve you. Sometimes there can be resistance from the ego that, but I love my patterns. This is the way, this is the right way. This can be very new information for you, and I get it. And it can also seem very overwhelming. How will I ever get here? That's okay. You don't have to overnight. It happens on its own. Just take the first step. Be open to what life is bringing to you. This is all done for you. You're not trying to make it happen. What you can try to do is just be open to it. Allow, spiritual information to come your way. Set the intention and see what comes, see what follows. Continue to work with your subconscious mind. There is enough research about the power of the subconscious mind and how that leads to manifesting things. So whatever we speak of is not something new. There is so much work done on the subconscious mind already. You can't manifest love because there are blocks. You can't manifest abundance because there are limiting beliefs. You can't manifest that perfect job because you have thought patterns which tell you can't. This is all scientific work which has already happened. It's nothing new that we are discussing. So, if you need any help with regards to accessing these blocks, going deeper, understanding your thought patterns, understanding, why certain things are happening and how you can start to release them, I would be very happy to assist you. I also assist with an exercise which takes us deep within and helps us in releasing these blocks. And we also discuss many other aspects of your journey and many other aspects that could be influencing the way things are showing up for you. All you have to do is book a one-on-one session. My email address is imacompletelife@gmail.com, and you can email me and we can schedule a session. My availability is only till the 2nd of October, and then after that I will not be available for about 3 weeks, and then I'll be available again in the last week of October. Right, guys? So that's all. Sending you lots of love. I hope this was helpful. Take care. Bye.